Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I have my guest is Nathan Payne. We're going to be talking about living a life of discipline and meaning. We're going to go deep today, so you definitely want to make sure that you're listening in here. So, Nathan, great to have you on the show, buddy.
Oh, thanks for having me on here. I'm ready to go deep.
Yeah, let's do it. Always good to see you. Yeah. So, before we get started, I know you've kind of been on a journey of just becoming the best person you can, right? You said kind of living a meaningful life,
right,
and not necessarily doing the easy thing. So a lot of people are working hard to try to make their life easier, but you're not focused on necessarily ease. You're focused on meaning, right?
Oh, 100% meaning, because like I think the life of ease, right? Like living on the beach or whatever, like going after things that are easy, like that gets boring after a while, right? You have to like have a life of, you have to pursue things, right, that are meaningful.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, before we jump in, like tell us your background, like how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'll kind of start with my door-to-door sales background, because that kind of goes into why I got into real estate. So I was doing door-to-door sales in college for from like 2012 to 2016, and did fairly well in the door-to-door scene. If anyone knows it, like it's pretty lucrative. You can make quite a bit of money doing it. So I was doing very well, but once I got married, graduated from college and got married, I was like, this lifestyle of going to different, because it's a pretty transient job, right? So you go from like market to market in the summers, and I just didn't want to move a lot. So once I got married, I said, okay, what can I do where I can, stay local, not have to move, and make good money? And I reached out to my friend who was wholesaling and doing lease options in college at the time, and his dad was also doing it. So I said, hey, like, I'm trying to do a career change, and, are you into real estate? And he's like, no, but I want to be. I'm at a tech sales job. And I was like, well, you could quit your job and I'll quit mine, and we'll just go all in real estate. So then he quit and I quit, and we just started wholesaling at that point.
And that was in Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City, yeah. And that was in 2018.
Okay.
Is when we went all in on wholesaling. And we didn't have any money to start with. We just... because our wives were like, hey, yeah, go ahead and do it, but like you're not taking any of the money to do it. You got to start from scratch. I saved quite a bit of money, so it wasn't like a very big like burning of the boats, right? Like if it didn't work out in 6 months, I'd be fine. Same with him, like our wives work. So we went in and it worked out, and it's been a roller coaster ride ever since. But that's how I got started.
Yeah. So let's talk about just this general idea of living a life of having a specific routine in your life, a lot of consistency that helps you with a lot of other things we're going to talk about today, but just maybe kind of high level, just talk about what that's meant for you and the power of that for others that are listening.
Yeah, so the reason why I got really heavy into like trying to be the best version of myself was because it was wholesaling and real estate, right? Real estate was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be when I got started. I was like, man, I got to negotiate with sellers. I got to I guess be the best version of myself so people will work with me, right? Because that's how I felt. I was like, and I have to like manage teams. I have to hire employees. Like I want to be the best I can be. So that's how I kind of got started on the journey of like, okay, let me dial myself in. So let me be like the best leader, the best version of myself I can be, so I can build this company or build the, not necessarily the income, but build the business that I want. And that's how I got started, like getting into it.
Yeah. And so what are some of the benefits that you see with, I think a lot of entrepreneurs one of the challenges of a lot of entrepreneurs is they don't have a boss now. So or if you had a W-2 before, so you don't have structure, right? So you just like, I can do what I want when I want. And even if you don't think that, that's how you act, right? It's just like, well, I don't need to do anything anytime unless I say I want to do it, right? But that doesn't give you a successful business or certainly probably a meaningful life.
Yeah, so for me, having that routine, that structure, well, first of all, I'll just let everyone know, like I have ADHD and ADD. So for me, like starting as an entrepreneur where I didn't have a boss and I could do whatever I want, like it was difficult because there wasn't any structure. So
Right.
like I felt like I had to really dial that in. Like, okay, I can't just come to work and not really know what I'm gonna do, or I can't like before I come to work just like wake up and roll out of bed and go to work. I have to have like structure in my life. So that is what like pushed me to do is because I felt very um like there wasn't a path or there wasn't like a way forward. I just felt like I was like floating in the wind.
Yeah.
So I had to dial it in for myself and for the business. So
Yeah, it's good to be self-aware because like I mean probably half people listening to the show have ADD, right? But and my
right.
son does too, and and he's 17, so I really, we're trying to give him structure, but he's just refuting it. So, but
Yeah.
I understand the value of just having that structure, right?
Yeah, it's so important because like if you wake up like this is an analogy a lot of people use, but like if you're just if you're a ship in the ocean without like a direction, it doesn't matter where you're going, like where you want to go, because like you don't know where you're trying to go, right? Like so for me, if I have an ultimate destination I'm trying to achieve, then I need to know where I need to know how to get there. I need to know what to do to get there. It doesn't really matter what I do in life.
Yeah.
Like if someone wants to own like 2 million doors, like let's say that someone wants to own a rental portfolio, then like wholesaling every deal doesn't make sense. Like you wouldn't be doing that if that's ultimately you want to just own a ton of properties. So I think knowing really deep down like what's your why, what you want to accomplish in life is super important, or you're not going to get there.
So, what are your tips on kind of defining that up front of what your why is, what you're trying to accomplish, what your goals are? Any tip? Anybody can just kind of write down
Of course.
their goals or the vision, right? But what makes it more likely to happen?
Yeah, I think it's for me, like I actually take all my clients that I work with through their why, because I think knowing why you're doing something is going to help you to get there. And if you don't, like you're going to, especially in real estate, like if you don't know why you're doing this, you're probably going to quit because it's hard, you
Yeah.
know? So I sit down with people and I say, okay, the first thing you want to identify is your vision, right? Like, and I actually have I always read mine every day. So the vision that you have is it's your dream, your true north star, like the true north, meant to inspire and create a sense of purpose. So like knowing what's your dream, like what's the end result of everything you want in your life? What do you want to be remembered for? Like who do you want to become? So I try to help people identify that, and to be honest, like a lot of it comes down like to your religious beliefs or like what you internally like believe is important. Like a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to be remembered as being a good person. Like rarely is it money, right? It's like what they want to become, what they want to be remembered for. So does that
Yeah.
make sense? So that's
Yeah.
the vision.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So let's dive into some of these things that you do that people should have a routine around in their life. And one of them is waking up early. So a little inside joke for those of you that are listening is Nathan and I were chatting before we started recording here, and I kept yawning, and I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry, I keep yawning. I got up kind of early today. And it's really not that early because I don't know. He's like, what time? I'm like, I refuse to tell you what time it was because it really wasn't that early. But
Yeah.
I understand the value in it, having consistency for sure. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the impact of that on your life.
Well, it for me, I always struggle with waking up early at a consistent time because I would wake up, during the week, weekdays, I'd wake up at like let's say 6:30, and then I'd sleep in on the weekend, right? So it was very hard to like maintain
Be
like
consistent.
a consistent time to wake up. So I listened to like a podcast or a short from Alex Hermosi that said like, hey, if you're going to be consistent with waking up at a specific time, you like even on the weekends you have to wake up at that time. So I was like, well, I was really struggling to wake up early consistently. Let me just wake up early every day, even if I go on vacation or whatever. So I started waking up at 5 o'clock, and I've never thought I'd be able to do that because 6:30 for me was always early. I was like, oh man, that's so early, 6:30.
Yeah.
But so waking up at 5, and then with that time, I'm like, okay, well now I'm waking up early. What do I do? And that what I've used with that time has changed over, and I think it changes for everybody. Like, what are you going to use those morning hours for? And for me, like I said, I've changed it a lot. But first of all, I would just say like consistently waking up at a time, even on the weekends, like is going to help you stay, disciplined with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started to get up early. This is a while back. I just had something I just could not get done. I was rebuilding one of my coaching programs, and I just could never get to it. And then finally, I was like, by the way, this is crazy, but I started getting up at like 3:30, and I was like, and the truth is from like 3:30. Of course, it took me like a half hour just to get my bearings straight because you're
Mm.
like groggy, right? But for the next like 2 or 3 hours, I feel like I was getting like 8 hours of work done in like
So
three
true.
hours. It was really crazy. So, by the way, everybody, I think that that's crazy getting up that early, and but I've kind of found myself lately. I'm like, hey, I'm going to start getting up at 5. I normally get up at 7 if I'm
Mhm.
just going to be honest with everybody. It's like, hey, that 2 hours in the morning though is like the most productive time of my day because I'm not looking at social media. People aren't trying to call me. My family's not even up yet. The dog's still sleeping, and I can just kind of crank for a couple hours. And so that's probably the most productive time of your day, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like there's obviously as the day goes on, the capacity your brain has to like function is going to get a little
Yeah,
depleted. It's like a battery, right? Like
yeah,
every at the end of every day you need to sleep so you can recharge. And I think that's what's
yeah,
happening is as you go throughout the day, you're losing a little bit more and more of energy or
yeah,
brain power.
yeah,
So when I wake up early, that's what I love about it. It's like it's nice and serene. It's calm. I don't feel like I really don't feel that anxious when I wake up. I think as a business owner, there's anxiety no matter what you do, right?
yeah,
But when I wake up, I'm ready to go. I'm excited, and I go through a specific routine every day. And I'm excited. Like every day, I'm excited to grow and get into that routine because I'm like, I know eh, like just from studying other people, like this is how people grow and succeed and progress.
yeah. That's great. Yeah, one of the other things that made me realize when you were just talking about this is that I found that I move stuff around in my day and put the most important things in the morning versus the afternoon. Because of that reason, you kind of get, you don't have as much energy, your brain gets foggy or whatever. So I started moving my meetings and phone calls with people and stuff like that, like later in the day,
Yeah,
and then like important stuff that requires my best attention, like in the morning, just because I need the most attention, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly how you're supposed to do it too. Like you got to put the most important things first,
yeah.
um, so you can like give 'em your full attention.
Right. Yep. So let's talk about another thing that you've committed to is reading every day. So a lot of people talk about that. A lot of people aspire to do it. Most that try it don't do it consistently because it's one of those things that like nobody's holding you accountable. So it's like, tomorrow I'll just read 20 pages instead of 10 each day because I can't get to it today. But just talk about the impact that's had on your life.
Well, first I'll say like what has actually like helped me to be disciplined in all that I do is tracking. I track everything, and that's what's helped me a ton with reading because before like when I try to read stuff like I do well, I'd read some here and there, and if I missed a couple days I wouldn't really know if I did right because I didn't track it before. But now like I have an app that I track how many hours I read, how many books I read, like my read speed. It's pretty sweet app. And I also track everything on my
What is the app?
it's called Bookly. uh,
Okay.
yeah, Bookly, and it's
Okay.
like $20 for lifetime. Like, but I was like, look, if I'm gonna be committed, I need to spend $20 on an app or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like 20 or 15, but it's amazing because I've been using it for 2 years now, and yeah, like I can see exactly how many pages I've read, how many hours I've read, and it breaks everything down. So I feel like I'm winning, right? Like
Yeah.
and
And
there's
so,
books that I've read that I forgot that I read. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I read all those books by, Fyodor Dostoevsky or who's the other one that everybody loves that wrote the Christmas Carol. Shoot. Anyway, I've read a lot. I
yeah.
forget them.
One of the things that I do is I'm good at buying books and not necessarily reading them. So this just happened the other day. I was at an event. I was talking to somebody. They brought up a book, and I was like, "Oh, I need to get that book." And when you go into Amazon, it's like, "Oh, you purchased this book." It tells me that I purchased it before, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I already have it."
Right.
So I'm good at buying them, but not necessarily.
Do,
Uh,
do you, do you do physical? Do you like to read physical
you
copies or do you read
know,
them?
I would say this, like up until a couple years ago, I would always buy physical books.
Mhm.
Then I moved to Kindle books, which is just more efficient for a lot of reasons.
Right.
Um, but I think I'm probably a little more likely to read a Kindle book just because I always have my iPad with me, even though I don't use it that much. I always have it with me, and especially when I travel, like I'm not generally like if there's a book that I wish I'd brought with me, it's back home, so it doesn't help me.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
What do you think
For
about that? Some people are big advocates for non-digital books, like they prefer the real thing.
I've gone all in on the non-digital books, like actually physically having it, because I read a book. It's called the Majesty of Books, and the guy basically says like there's two things you always need when you read a book. You need a pencil to like underline or write ideas that come to your mind, and an idea book or like a basically a journal to write down what you're learning.
Yeah.
So that's what I've started to do for like the last couple of years, and it's really changed the way I read and how much I retain. Because I'm like when I read, it's not just to like, okay, let me finish this book. It's more of like, okay, what can I get out of it, and what am I learning from it? So it's that's helped me out a lot. And to do it on the phone is just not the same as like, okay, I'm actually writing this down. And it's like scientifically proven that if like you write things down, you retain them more. So
Yeah.
that's why I go. That's why I go physical
Yeah, I agree with
copy.
that. I usually use a Kindle, but I like, I'm a crazy journaler. Like I just write, I fill up notebooks like crazy. And so I usually have that there with me to like, hey, I got an idea or a thought that
Perfect.
came to my mind or spurred something. So yeah, yeah.
That's good.
So a lot of times people think if they need to have this habit of reading, that they need to read something on like uh management or a skill or like a nonfiction book. So are you then there's also some people that is like, hey, my whole life is nonfiction, like I want to read fiction. I can't tell you, like probably since like fifth grade is the last time I read a fiction book. Like I just don't read fiction, but I love movies, but I just don't like to read that stuff. But what are you, any thoughts on that?
For me, I've gone into like historical fictions and like ones that like for example, Fyodor Dostoevsky is like they say he's one of the greatest writers of all time, right? And for me, I was like, well, let me see if I agree with that. So that wasn't
The
that's
judge
not.
of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
You say I'll be the judge of that?
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that, right? So I read his stuff, and even though it's not like real, right, but it's based on real things that have happened, and it it's also like what people say is the greatest literature out there. So I think it's okay to do that, but I'm not like reading scientific, like nonfiction stuff. Sorry, scientific fiction novels about like space and stuff. Like I'm
Right.
not wasting my time on that.
Mostly self-help type stuff or
Yeah,
subjects you care about. Yeah.
self-help, or if it's like they say these are one of the best authors of all time. Like, I'm gonna look this one up. The Tale of Two Cities. I can't. It's not. It's off of the top of my head. Like who this author was. But I pretty much read all his books just to see what the hype was all about with this guy. Um, you'll know once I pull him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Charles Dickens? Is that what you're talking
There you go, Charles
about? Okay.
Dickens. Because
Yeah.
everyone's
Okay.
like Dickens is the best, and I was like, well, let's see if Dickens is the best.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like not self-help books, that's great, but I'm also trying to read like what people say historically is the best. Like even the Bible, like I believe in God and all that, but like I want to know why is this book like even if let's say it's not true. Let's say God doesn't exist, which I do believe, but let's see why this is such an important book. Like if it's not true, right? And if we're just looking as like a novel.
Hmm.
So reading things like that is interesting to me. Like
Yeah.
why does stuff have such a great impact and so much weight?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
So let's talk about the power of kind of journaling, of the importance of that, and maybe the impact it's had on your life and how it could impact listeners here.
oh man, journaling is one of the greatest things I think I've done and I would recommend people to do. It just changes the way you see the world, the way you think. Like if you're and when I say journaling, like I'm writing down things that I'm grateful for, grateful that that will happen. Like I even manifest in my journal like, hey, I'm grateful that this, even if it hasn't happened. I think just always living in like the attitude of gratitude and reflecting on like what you have and like the blessings you have, like it changes the way you see the world. And
Yeah.
that's why I think journaling is so important because
Yeah.
you can literally change the way you think and see things.
Yeah, there was a period I've kind of gotten away from it, and I'm gonna put a note. I'm gonna put a sticky note in my pocket right now about journaling. That like for quite some time, honestly, for a couple of years, I was pretty consistent every day, getting up, writing down 5 things I'm grateful for, and what I'm going to accomplish today, just kind of briefly. And I think for me, it was like, man, I don't have time for that. Reason I never did it, and I'm like, I'm just going to force myself to do it. And then I started. What happened to me is like if you don't do it very consistently, you can come up with things you're grateful for. We all have a lot of things to be grateful for. But when I started doing it every day, I started to have to stretch for like I'm grateful. It forced me to focus on small things. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like I'm grateful that like this big thing just happened to me. Which if you only do it periodically, a lot of big things happen to us. So you can find. But when it's like I'm just grateful for like quiet times with myself, or you just kind of
Yeah.
find like little things.
Well, yeah,
It causes you to be more grateful because you're like introspective on like what else can I be grateful for, right?
yeah, it's honestly incredible. Like when you do it daily. Like I was reading from the Stoics. There's a guy named Epictetus or Epictetus, who's I've been reading a lot about, and he's saying in one of his writings, like I'm grateful for breath. I'm grateful for the air in my lungs, like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, dang, that's really going deep to like be
Yeah.
grateful for those little things that we take for
You
granted,
take
but
for granted, yeah.
that's exactly like what this will do to you. You'll be like, wow, I'm grateful for hands that work. I'm grateful for like my knees that aren't aching all the time. My knee hurts right now, so now I'm grateful that for the times it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah. That's
it's
awesome. So
pretty
I know
amazing what you can do when you just sit there and you're like, wow, how blessed are we to be even alive?
yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Yeah. It's easy as an entrepreneur to get up and you're like just running from the time you get up till the time you go to bed. It's easy to allow life to do that, but it doesn't allow you a lot of introspection to kind of focus on why you're doing those things, you know?
No, no, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these things are really kind of leadership type skills, right? And so let's just talk about. I know you focus on leadership training as well, or at least like how to live a more meaningful life, like how to impact more people. So talk about you know the impact that's had on your life and maybe some tips for others.
Yeah, a lot of the books I've been reading lately, I read a book by this guy named Warren Rustin. He like worked at the White House, and he trains CEOs, and his book has really impacted me a lot. It's been really good. He talks about like you want to be the best leader, you have to be the best servant, because life is about everybody else than us. So that's like all he talks about in his book is like how to become the best at loving others, serving others, thinking about others. Like he builds when he invests in a company, he's like, do I believe in their product? Do I believe that they can have an impact, that they care about people? So, for me, it's really being like studying leadership, and from books like these guys, it's like
Yeah.
how
It took me a second. Do you know? I just looked it up while we were talking here. Have you ever met Warren?
I have not met Warren.
So he actually is. So I've talked to him before. It's funny that you say that because he is a coach for my business partner, Jason Lewis, who I think you know in Salt Lake.
I do know
So he
Jason.
actually is a coach for Jason. Yeah. So we might, anyway, I've talked to him in the past. So that's interesting that you said that name. I was like, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I've tried to reach out to Warren a couple times. He's a hard guy to get a hold of, but
Hmm.
yeah, his book has really opened my eyes to like different ways to look at leadership, and he also recommended another book that I'm reading called Leadership. It's like it's very difficult to understand. It's like written by a political science major like in the 70s, but he says it's like one of his favorite books. But anyway, all I'm trying to say is I think becoming the best version of yourself, becoming the best leader allows you to help others grow. And that's like what I care about is impact in life.
Yeah.
Whether I'm a multi-billionaire, money, it does not matter at all. I've come to a point in my life where like I'm fine in the sense like be financially, no, there will be no problem. Um, and now it's like, okay, what do I do to make the biggest impact around me?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
So what tips can you give others on because I feel that way too. Like I want to make more money and I will make more money, but that's not my priority. Like it has to be something that I enjoy doing that's impacting others and I really like care a lot about leaving a legacy. Like I want people to, I want to, I guess I want people to be sad when I die. I don't know, but I don't want to die, by the way, so I don't want anybody to be sad. But I mean, it just at some point it just switches. It's like, you know what? Like I'm good, and I'm comfortable. So what if everything I do is just, I'm only going to do things that are with people that I like doing it with. It's impacting people. It's going to leave an impact on the world, and that's all. That's all I do for the most part. That's what I try to do.
Right.
So, what tips on what can you give people on? It's easy as entrepreneurs. Let's just talk about real estate investors, right? It's easy to be so caught in the rat race that you're just trying to, you're in a lot of times survival mode. Like even if you're doing a couple deals a month, like that might not be a lot if you have a lot of overhead, right? So we're just kind of caught in this rat race. So what tips can you give people on living a life that has more meaning instead of like being in survival mode, being in a mode that's about impact?
For me, I think it's about being self-aware. Like you have to have time. You have to take time out of your life to be self-aware. Like if you're in that rat race mode where you wake up and you're immediately like answering those emails of like, hey, this seller doesn't want to sign or like whatever's happening at this time, like you're going to be just caught up in that
Right.
that race or like that mumbo jumbo. But if you can take time, and that's why I think waking up early is so important, because you do have those still moments to like, sit and think like, okay, is what I'm doing, like, is getting an extra 10 properties this month, like, or trying to achieve that this year, is that really going to bring me closer to what I want in life? Is that really even that important to me, or am I just really busy for no reason?
Yeah.
And a lot of this happened to me because my wife is, like, I think being married is really important because women can basically, like, slow you down and be like, hey, why are you doing all this? Like, it's not even that important, right? So I think women can help you be self-aware.
The right woman.
The right woman, right?
Yeah.
The right woman can help you be self-aware, but I think it comes down to like having that time to just reflect. And if you study in these greats like Nelson Mandela, like that was in prison for like 20 years, and like Fyodor Dostoevsky, he went to like indentured servitude for like 7 years. A lot of these great people were like forced to just sit there and think, and unfortunately in prison, right? But they had time to think, okay, what do I really want? Like, and I think we don't take that time to be self-aware and think. So that would be my suggestion to everyone that maybe feels like things are going too fast. Slow down, like take some time to think about what you really want.
Yeah. Yeah. You can always be busy if you want to be busy.
Yeah. It's the to-do list never ends. Like in the 4 disciplines of execution, it talks about the whirlwind. Like we're all in the whirlwind if we don't stop and like say, hey, we need to like realize that there's so much stuff that the world wants of us.
Yeah.
We got to figure out what's important.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Nathan, if folks want to follow you or get a hold of you, connect in any way, like where should they go?
2 places are really good. My Facebook, you can friend request me on Facebook, Nathan Payne. I have a Facebook group as well. That's Real Estate Wholesaling the Painless Way, or my YouTube channel. So it's really get me on Facebook or get me on my YouTube channel, all under Nathan Payne. Yeah, let's chat. Like I'm always down to help and serve. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's very clear after this show. So thanks for sharing your insights with us today.
Hope it was helpful. Hope
yeah,
it helped
no,
somebody
good
out.
stuff, buddy. I've got a bunch of notes myself of just things that it basically spurred a lot of thoughts of some things that I need to do, maybe gotten away from. So I appreciate that, man.
It happens.
Yeah, that happens. Yep. Everybody, hope you got some good insights from today. Hopefully you got some nuggets on how you can live a life of a more disciplined life where it allows you to live a bigger life of impact. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.